the Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. To find out where to buy gold and silver reliably at great prices, go get your free Financial Survival Toolkit at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. You'll also get our complimentary newsletter. This is the Financial Survival Network.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz, and you're listening to the Financial Survival Network, which is brought to you by Miles Franklin. They've been in business selling gold and silver for over 20 years, and I'm a customer because when you buy, they ship. For more information, find them on the web at milesfranklin.com or give them a call at 800-822-8080 and get a free quote. A lot of you out there are wondering, should I buy a house? Prices are so low. Rates are even lower, historically low. We've never seen rates like this, many of us, in our lifetimes. And with me now is David Wynn, CEO of Guaranteed Home Mortgage Company. They are one of the largest private mortgage companies in the country to talk about current market conditions and what the market is doing out there, really, because you hear the statistics on CNN, see them on CNBC, but you really don't know what's going on in the market until you talk to somebody who's in the market. Hey, David, welcome back to the Financial Survival Network. Great to have you.
Thank you so much, Kerry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you back once again. What are you seeing in the real estate market? What's selling and what's not?
That's an interesting question. My preferable market to look at is typically Westchester County, only because the demographics are so illustrative of so many different parts of the country. Your listening base, in the MSA is predominantly financial services based, predominantly employed. And so we look at those statistics versus our application data and closed data, both on refis and purchases, to get a good sampling of what's happening in some of the larger, more sophisticated areas. And what we're finding is that there's a lot of fear out there right now. You've got somewhat over 5,000 homes, different condos, co-ops, single-family residences that are available for sale in some way, shape, or form. Listings are extraordinary relative to prior periods. We're talking about a 9-month listing period for homes versus about an average of 3.5 months nationwide. And of course, everybody's favorite statistic, which is the Case-Shiller, indicates that year over year, our area is down about 2.8%. Relative to the rest of the nation, we could look at Nevada, for instance, which is an easy template. We're doing extraordinarily well. So on the whole, and in relation to our friends around the nation, and of course over the Atlantic, jump across the pond, we're in decent shape, but we're not doing very well.
A lot of the reason why the market's held up the way it has is due to historically low interest rates. Do you see that changing, rates going up, or staying roughly the same over the next 6 months or so?
Over a 6-month period of time, I think we're going to trade in a very tight range, but I don't see any significant adverse impact to our rate environment over the 6 months.
Yeah, so you think the Fed's got rates where they want them, and they're going to keep them there?
Well, the old analogy of pushing on a string, I think, is apt here. I'd argue that mostly it's a flight to quality. And in the event that we see a significant improvement, or at least a perception of the improvement across the pond, that might have some dramatic impact on what it is that's going on here. But all signs seem to point to QE7 now. That should have a corrosive effect on yields.
QE to infinity, as some have called it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you've got a job, you're relatively secure in the job, and you've been holding off buying for a while. Does it make sense to jump into the market now, or do you still wait?
Employment statistics for our community, and I'm talking about the Gold Coast of Fairfield County, pushing through Long Island into northern Jersey, has maintained a degree of stability in and around 8%. You could argue with me on different towns. The population growth has been fairly stable. The supply has increased dramatically, and we have not seen most of the shadow inventory come to market yet. My advice would be for someone who is looking to make a preferential move to a larger house or for a more comfortable environment would be to hold off at this time. For the new home buyer, for the gentleman who's become an associate at a Wall Street firm, who's fairly stable, received his bonus, but is not concerned about his caps, I would say that it's a great time to be a first-time home buyer. The three Ds are what drive this game right now: the death, divorce, and destitution. And those will continue. And so if one is not encumbered with a residence at this time, you've got a great opportunity. If you're an empty nester or you're waiting to see what 2012 brings in terms of your bonus, you probably should sit tight and continue to rent the home, because interestingly enough, the rental statistics for our community is a bit higher than the rest of the nation. So it seems more and more people are taking that route.
There's an interesting dynamic here because the state tax rates are so high in the Northeast, and we're looking at after-tax costs of home ownership are actually well below the after-tax cost of renting an equivalent residence. If you're confident in your cash flow, then it makes economic sense, especially if you can qualify with a low down payment mortgage, to take the plunge for a lot of people.
Well, there's no question about it. If you have the opportunity to buy something, you will not see the value erode any further. So if you are comfortable with your employment, you believe that worst case scenario, your bonus won't go up, perhaps go down a bit, and you found the right home for yourself, then you should jump on it immediately.
Sounds like a good move. And as far as the rates, what kind of rates are we seeing out there on 30-year fixed, 15-year?
We're down at 3 3/8 to 3 3/4, depending on the fees people are paying and, of course, the type of loan they get. But you can only say the word unprecedented so many times before the word no longer has the effect. But this is unequivocally the last refi extraordinary rate boom of our generation. Period.
So if you've got a mortgage with a rate any higher than what, 4.5% or 4%, you should be looking at it?
We're looking at folks that have 30-year fixes at 4.5 that we're bringing down to 3 1/8 on a 15-year fix. So not only is it an opportunity to get an inexpensive fixed rate, but it's also an opportunity to take the term and condense it down to help some of that deleveraging that's going on.
That trend is still moving ahead unabated, right?
We're seeing it. One of the reasons we think there's some stagnancy in the purchase market right now, because people who have any discretionary capital are using it to reduce obligations, going to cash, going to gold.
Makes a lot of sense. So, David, people want to find out more about you, more about Guaranteed Home Mortgage Company. Where would they go?
Well, they can always go to our website. It's at www.ghmc.com. George, Harry, Mary, Charlie, Guaranteed Home Mortgage Company. And I enjoy talking to people more than any other part of my job. They can always call me direct at 914-339-6000, and we can help them anywhere in this country.
All right, David, thanks for being on again. We'll check up, and hopefully you're right. Your prognosis of rates, it will be more of the same into the indefinite future. We'll all keep our fingers crossed and think about what the next move should be.
What a pleasure, Carrie. Thanks so much for having me.
Always.